Hey guys, Dave from Nerdarchy, 4 nerds, by nerds, hanging out with.
I'm Ted.
Today we have a GM 911 from Adam, and basically he has the problem of the Deity has overextended his power into the material prime, and his cleric is now shut off. What do I do, Nerdarchy?
If you have a GM 911, you can submit them to nerdarchy@gmail.com. Just put GM 911 in the subject, or you can head over to the GM 911 sections of our forum.
So this one's a little odd in the sense that the DM actually he kind of fudged things to save the characters a little bit.
Well, the players are mismanaging their powers, and he keeps putting them in really tough fights, and these situations keep coming up where the players are all calling on the deities to be like, please don't let this happen.
I don't know if it keeps happening, but in this one scenario, so he's got this one scenario where, his players mismanage resources, and they had this one thing that would allow them to do a revivify, and, there's four people in the party, 3 go down, the barbarian's running back and forth trying to stabilize.
He stabilizes one, the other 2 die, he revivifies the one, but the item that he had only had 1 revivify in it. So he drops a religion check, rolls the natural 20. So the DM says, okay, I can let this happen, but it's actually going to come at the cost of the cleric's powers. So he wants to know, how does he restore the powers back to the cleric?
Well, I mean, you could even just be like, so it depends on how bad the characters wanted to be saved too. I would have just let somebody die, to be honest with you. Who lives, who dies? You choose, Mr. Barbarian.
It does come to, that teaches the lesson to the party of, okay, we were overconfident, we screwed up, and because of that, somebody has to make a new character.
Yeah, well, my other concern is, you've taught the players a different lesson. It doesn't matter what we do, the DM's just going to bail us out, and our actions don't actually have consequences. So there's definitely that. So maybe for a couple days in game, he just the cleric just doesn't have access to his divine powers, and then it'll come back after so many long rests or whatever. But maybe he shouldn't tell the players how long that's going to be,
right?
In case they're like, "Oh, we'll just camp here for the night and we'll be good tomorrow," or make sure something happens, or like Ted had suggested off camera, some kind of cleansing ritual. Maybe that cleansing ritual requires them to go get something.
Well, I think doing a ritual which could involve either knowledge checks or some kind of interaction, and then be able to appease. It could come at a sacrifice. Okay, well, the god has given me too much as the cleric, so now I'm going to give to the god. So all right, negative 2 con over the course of this ritual, and it could be a temporary or not. Again, don't let them know, and you give of yourself so that you're essentially giving back to the god who gave. Or as you said, I brought up, go on a quest. They need to find an item that has been lost for this deity that would essentially give him the power to do these overreachings that he did, and that will in turn make up for him actually doing that.
Yeah, so there, I guess there's a couple suggestions, and I always too, if you don't paint yourself into a corner as the DM. Is it you're I have this problem, but you're you kind of made the problem,
right?
So when you decided to, when you decide you're going to divest the cleric of his powers because you've helped him too much, you're now saying, well, how do I fix this thing I did? Right. Well, the easiest way to fix it would have been not to do it. Either just letting them die or, not divesting the cleric of his powers.
Another thing that just popped into my head, you could actually have every, all right, my ability to help you is less, and since a cleric is just a divine conduit, perhaps there's a problem with his connection. 24 hours.
Did you try turning it off and turning it back on first?
24 hours. He can't get any clerical powers. After that, each day, he's got a 10% chance that when he goes to cast a spell, that it'll work. If it doesn't work, that spell slot is still used, but it'll work. And each day you just
Or, some variation on that, like you making a concentration check or making a religion check or some variation where maybe it's a descending DC. So
descending DC or increasing percentile, however you want to play it up, and it's just time, and that's one way to increment it.
Yeah, like the God's connection is being reestablished. That's kind of a good way to do it. So they're not like completely without their juice, but there's a possibility it's not going to work. I think I would prefer to make it like a DC where they have to make it and make a roll, and maybe you start at 15 and each day it goes down by 1 for every time they use it, so until they finally get to 0 and they're at full strength and they don't have to roll anymore, or whatever their modifier, their bonuses, they no longer have to really roll. So it might be a week of this may work or it may not work. And maybe like if they crit the roll, you do something for them. Maybe if they critically fumble the roll, you do something against them. Right. Oh, you want to heal? Oops. Wound, cause wounds instead. Ooh, maybe I shouldn't have used that maximum slot that I had. But yeah, you can have some fun with it. I don't know. I'm sure the guys and gals down in the comments below are going to give you a ton of other solutions that we didn't even think of. While you're at it, like, share, and subscribe.
You can support us on Patreon.
So until next time,
stay nerdy.